Sure.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Cooking Roche Cookies with the Roches. I am your host, Mr. Matthew Roche, and we are live on YouTube. And so as we go through this, today we're going to be looking at sugar cookies, and we're going to be asking Mrs. Roche how she makes her famous sugar cookies. We also are going to be taking any questions you have. So if throughout this you want to ask a question, please feel free to post in the chat. I have Jude Roche lined up who's ready to ask me any questions we get as we go through. And remember, at the end of all of this, we are going to be posting the ingredients and the recipe. Please do not panic if you miss one of the steps as we go through. And so what better way to get started than to introduce the actual star of this whole production, Mrs. Roche. And here she is, my mom, Sharon. Yay!
Hi, everybody. Happy day after Easter. I hope everybody had a great holiday. The Roches did.
And we are back for round two. So because it was Easter and because it was a holiday, let's start with a basic question. Mrs. Roche,
yes.
What are some of your favorite holiday traditions?
Well, I have to say, one of my very favorites took place yesterday. I know that all of my children are adults now, but we still have a wicked Easter egg hunt on Easter morning. And Matt and Marie came for it, and Luke's girlfriend Deanna came for it. And so there were 6 of them, and they tore my house apart and had a great time. And there is still 1 egg missing. But the man who hides the eggs, my husband, is devious and malicious and hides them in unusual, strange places. So anyway, it was a lot of laughs. We had a lot of fun. And that's probably my favorite tradition.
You know it's bad when you're 26 years old and your dad laughing at you during an Easter egg hunt still makes you feel sad about yourself. So that's our first question to sort of get ourselves warmed up. Let's ask our second. So we talked about how many cookies you make in our last video. Now let's talk about where those cookies go. Where have you sent cookies to before? And like, have famous people tried your cookies before?
I don't know. Have famous people tried my cookies before? I don't know about that. They have traveled around both across the country and internationally.
Really? Where internationally?
They've gone to Canada for a wedding. They went to Mexico for another destination wedding.
Okay.
When Mr. John Roche was living in France for a year and a half, they were shipped to France more than once.
They went to the Vatican.
Jude Roche. Oh, they went to the Vatican in Rome again when John was living in France. They went to the Vatican. Yes, so they have traveled internationally, and people have shipped them or carried them across the country. So
Melissa is asking, where will you be posting the recipe?
The recipe I'm going to be sending to Mr. Kowalczyk, who runs all of the social media for the school, and he is going to post on one of those social media accounts. If you want the recipe directly, you can email me at mroche@stahs.net. I'll say that again at the end, but just in case you're interested. So we've talked a lot about your baking. We've spent a lot of time looking at your cookies, how you bake them, things. Let's talk about your cooking, though, because that's something entirely different. What are some of your favorite meals you like to cook?
I really like doing Thanksgiving. And that's actually my husband's absolutely favorite meal of the whole entire year is turkey with all the trimmings.
Okay.
If you ask my kids what their favorites are, it's a toss-up between spaghetti meatballs.
Classic.
And they also like my lemon chicken with rice a lot. So those are my go-tos. Sometimes I go to them too often, but those are my go-tos.
Fair enough. Now, you may notice there are only 2 of us on camera right now. That's because Mr. John Roche is going to be acting as our cameraman. And so he's going to be moving the laptop around for us as we go through this baking process. Now, again, we are going to be posting the recipe. Please do not panic if you miss a step. I talk quickly, and sometimes we skip over some things. So we're going to move right into this. And the first thing we need to address is the oven settings, because we didn't do that till much later in the last video. So let's start with our basic oven settings. What is the oven setting for your sugar cookies?
Same as for the chocolate chips. Preheated to 350 degrees if you have a regular oven.
Okay.
If you have a convection oven, then you have to tweak it to a different temperature to get the same result.
Okay.
So I won't make that more complicated than it has to be.
Okay. Now, once we put the cookies in, how long do they bake for?
It depends. If you put in like one tray, maybe 13 to 15 minutes. If you put in 2 trays, it's a little bit longer. If you put in 3 trays, then it can be as many as 18 minutes.
Okay.
So again, like with the chocolate chips, if you're a baker, if the edges start to get a little bit brown, they're done.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to move right into this, and we're going to go right into the ingredients that we are working with, because the ingredients are different from the chocolate chip for sure. So let's start with this. We already have a bowl of pre-made dough. So let's show this so everybody sees what the end result is supposed to look like. This is
actually three triple batches of dough, because I have orders for this week. So I figured while I was going to be showing you guys how to bake them, I may as well just keep moving and get a jump start on the week. So anyway, this is tomorrow's
triple
project.
batch.
That's 3 triple batches.
3 triple batches. So Mrs. Roche, like Sam's Club, doesn't do single meals. It's only triple batch or bigger. There we go.
There's really no need.
So this is our finished product. So we know we have to get to that. So we're going to try and ultimately end up with this. So let's start. Why don't you move into your cookie corner, and we're going to get started on what we need to be doing. Okay. So let's start real basic.
So as in everything that Mrs. Roche bakes, pretty much, it's a pound of butter.
A pound of butter, real easy. Off this. Okay, we soften it. So we have to put it in the microwave at some point
right,
to
or
soften.
you can, yeah, because it doesn't even being at room temperature unless it's summer and it's 90 degrees outside. Okay. It doesn't get soft enough.
We have eggs.
6 eggs.
Let's get the garbage can. I'm gonna bring this over here so we can throw these out.
Sorry.
6 eggs.
All right.
Egg whites and yolks.
Yep.
Everything.
Whole egg.
Okay. Whole egg.
Okay. You're gonna put in 2 cups of sugar.
Now, are these legit measurements, or is this like the chocolate chips where we just kind of eyeball it?
The sugar's pretty legit, but you'll see. Hold on.
Okay, so 2 cups of sugar.
Okay. Baking powder.
Powder.
Different from the baking soda that we use for the chocolate chips. Honestly, you can just take a regular kitchen tablespoon and put on about that much.
Slight curve to it.
Yes, slight curve. And again,
that's baking powder, not soda. Baking powder. And again, we'll have this online for people to see.
Again, Mrs. Roche's palm full
of
of salt.
Okay.
So there are some similarities. And then, I like this big bottle of vanilla because I like to do this.
Okay.
So a heavy squirt.
A heavy squirt and a little bit of around it.
And then you just mix it up.
All right. So as we're mixing, we're going to start to see the basic dough shape coming.
So this is the wet, wet stuff. And then we just have to add the flour.
Okay.
Okay. Now again, this is a triple batch. You can divide this into thirds and, make as small a batch as you want. Because on average, a triple batch makes about 50 cookies, depending on the size of the cookie cutter. Smaller the cutter, the more cookies you're going to
And how many cups of flour are we going with?
6.
6 cups of flour. Okay, so we're adding 6 cups of flour. And now this is ultimately going to bring us that look, that firm dough look we're aiming for. Correct?
And again, yes. And again, if for some reason you overshoot on the flour a little bit, I have been known to just take the vanilla and squirt a little extra in to thin it out a little bit.
Okay.
If you don't put enough flour in with the 6, depends. Sometimes it's influenced. If it's hot outside, it might take a little bit more flour. So just add as much as you think you need.
Okay.
What you're going for is the dough to be not sticky so that when you grab it and you throw it on the, I don't know where you're going to roll it out. I have one of these silicone mats. You can roll it out right on the counter as well. But I love these mats.
Okay, and you said we're looking for firm but not sticky. You don't want
it can't be sticky because it's a real pain to get it then off the, it'll stick to the silicone sheet and it'll probably stretch or tear as you're trying to move it. Okay, so that's kind of what you're going for.
Okay, so we have our dough, and now what are we going to do?
Now you're going to take, where'd my flour go?
Oh, I moved over here. Sorry.
I just need a little handful.
Okay, handful.
So you're just going to take some flour, and you're going to do this.
And as you can see, she sort of moved it around on the surface. She's going to roll it out.
I can tell just because we're moving quickly here that I know I didn't put enough flour in, so this does feel a little sticky to me.
Okay. So if we needed to, we could add more flour.
You could absolutely add more flour.
For the sake of time, we'll keep moving.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so then I'm just going to kind of massage some extra flour in. I'm going to roll it out, and where'd that circle go that I had here?
Uh-oh.
Did I put it? Maybe
we lost the cookie cutter.
Sorry, I put it away. So maybe let me just so I can show you the thickness. So you're going to be between like 1/8 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch thick on the cookies.
1/8 of an inch and 1/4 of an
Okay.
inch thick.
And then you're going to just line them up.
And do we have to put anything on the pan?
Nope. Again, there's so much butter that it's plenty greased. They won't stick.
Okay.
And fill up the tray. And like I said, throw them in the oven and bake them accordingly.
Okay, so we're going to let you clean your hands.
Yes.
We're going to explain where we're headed next. So we saw how the dough is made, and we have a big container of the dough here. One of the things we don't have time for, but that we're going to show, is we're going to explain to you how we go about making the icing that goes on top of these cookies. So we're going to go through the ingredients and sort of the steps of it. Again, we're going to be posting this online, but I'm going to have Sharon take you through it, and I'm going to introduce one of my special guests, because as part of this quarantine, we have some college students who are home. So I'm going to introduce my younger brother, Jude Roche, who's from the graduating class of 2018, and he's going to take over to help Mom. There he is. All right, so let's start it up. We're doing our icing.
Earlier today, I made this frosting. When I do it, again, because I make so much dough, I need to make the appropriate amount of frosting to go with it. I usually use the egg whites that I get at Sam's Club. It's a pint of egg white. It goes into my mixing bowl, heavy splash of vanilla. I do use the KitchenAid, even though I make the cookies by hand. I can't whip that many egg whites with my hand, so I need this for that. Beat it until it's stiff, and then you mix in almost an entire 7-pound bag of confectioner sugar. Now, if you're doing just a single batch of cookies, it's 2 egg whites and most of a 1-pound box of confectioner sugar. The thing about the frosting is it does take a little while to get used to making the right consistency. If it's too runny, it'll be like a glaze and it'll run off the ends of the cookies. And if it's too thick, it'll be hard to spread and the cookie will crack in your hand most likely, which is really frustrating. So again, don't be afraid to play with it. If you made it too thin, you can keep adding sugar until it feels good. And if you made it too thick, you just add a little bit of water and keep stirring it till you thin it out. Okay? So, so now what we thought might be fun is
what do you do about sprinkles?
Oh, that's very important. If you're going to put sprinkles on your cookies, because the base of this frosting is egg whites, I would only frost about 6 cookies at a time and then put the sprinkles on, because even though the frosting takes, usually I let it dry overnight to get totally dry. The egg white, the very, very top layer dries very, very quickly. And so if I have sometimes lost track of what I was doing, and I've gone back with nonpareils after I've frosted like 20 of them, and then the nonpareils are bouncing off the cookies. They're not sticking to the frosting because it's drying too fast. So do about 6 cookies, do your sprinkles. The other thing is, if you want to base frost the cookie with one color, but then you want to go back in and decorate with other colors, very easy thing to do. But again, I would recommend base drying, because sometimes if you have a light color on the bottom, I've learned the hard way that if you frost with the darker color, sometimes it runs and then it wrecks your cookie and then you're sad or your order's screwed up, one or the other. So, or both. So anyway, what we thought we would well, we're going to make I'm
green color.
Yes, let me show you. Okay, I'm sorry. So what we're ultimately going to do is the Roche brothers are going to have a frost off. So I just wanted to show you this is what I start with if I'm going to do colors to pipe. So I already did a few. I saved the green to show you. These are frosting pastes. These are my colors over here. They're really intense. They're much better to work with than the old-fashioned food coloring that you buy in the store. So you just put a little in, and it gives you a really deep color. And again, if you make it too dark, you just add some more white frosting. If you make it too light, you just add some more of the frosting paste. You just mix it until it turns the color that you want it. And then, this is an easy thing to do.
What do you need?
Oh, my spatula. Grab a different one. Just going to scoop it into a baggie. Seal it up. And then what I like to do, because I have had it explode out the top, despite my best efforts to be gentle, you can use Scotch tape, but I found that nailing tape has a really nice seal to it. So I just bend it over, seal it shut, and then what we're going to do is we're going to snip the corners of the bags and then you just squeeze on to the cookies. Really easy. So anyway, are you boys ready?
Yeah, let's snip the bags and we'll explain what we're going to do.
Okay, so do you want to?
So, as Jude and Mom prep the bags for us, I'm going to explain to you what this next 2 minutes is going to look like. So, we always joke that none of us know how to bake the cookies or that we'd ever be good at baking the cookies. So, what we decided is maybe we're going to be good at frosting. Now, none of us have ever tried frosting in any real capacity. We've only tried frosting basics, like putting one color on a large cookie.
I will tell you that I did bake with them when they were little.
I honestly don't
It was a lot of fun. But when children frost cookies, especially little kids, because I did also bring cookies into when I was a pre-K teacher, and I would bring in unfrosted cookies at the holidays, and we'd make the frosting, and we'd let the kids go crazy. They tend to like go high, so there's just a lot, like mountains of frosting on the cookies.
Okay.
And they're also really heavy on the sprinkles, which is exactly what my kids did when they were little. So
Of course.
now that they're grown-ups, let's see.
Okay,
Let's see
what we're going to do is Mr. John Roche is going to move the laptop over to our kitchen table. And as he shows you the kitchen table, you can see we have 3 different cookie plates. Now, they're shaped in the form of an egg. And the reason we picked an egg is the reason we picked eggs is because it's Easter. Now, what you're going to get to see is you're going to have all 3 Roche brothers. Luke is at work, so it's only myself, Mr. John Roche, and Jude will come on screen. The 3 of us are going to have 2 minutes to create the most decorative Easter egg we can. And when we create the Easter egg at the end of this, we're going to show you guys all of our creations. And we're going to number them 1, 2, and 3. And you as the audience get to vote for who made the most decorative egg. And as we go through this, we're going to try and explain some of our thought process in decorating and what artistic things are coming to our minds. But first, we do have a question. The question that we got is, where do you buy your food coloring from if it's not the basic grocery store?
Party Fair.
Party Fair. So Party Fair
Party
makes,
City.
or Party City makes a food dye.
Actually, I'm sorry. It's Wilton's.
Wilton's.
Party Fair, Party City.
Let me see if I can get a picture of it.
Michael's has it.
Anywhere
AC
you can
Moore
get
used to
cake
have it.
decorating
Yeah, pretty much
supplies.
cake decorating
There are these
supplies.
little vials,
It looks like this.
and they're labeled on the top with what color it is, and it'll show you what the.
And
There you go.
they're like $2.29 a piece, but you need very little unless you're going for a really intense color. I go through a lot of red. Like anything that I do for STA, if I'm doing red, it takes, I can put almost a whole bottle in a batch of frosting.
Okay, so the way this is going to work is the 3 of us are here at the table. I'm going to set a timer on my phone for 2 minutes. So we have a 2-minute timer, and we are going to race to see who can make the most decorative egg. Now, to give you a heads up, we have purple, pink, blue, and green, and the 3 of us are going to race to try and make the best egg possible. On your marks.
Wait, can we use tools?
No, you get the bags. That's it.
Just
On your
bags.
marks, get set, go.
Oh, you schmucks.
Where's the hole? Did you not cut a hole in
I
this
did.
one?
There is.
Where? Oh,
There. Jeez.
Fortunately, the quarantine, I've been trying to channel my inner British Bake Off.
you stink at baking.
I know, so that's why I watch
in
it.
your life?
That's why I watch
Yeah, that's a
it,
good
and
argument.
My wife.
the
is very
person
good at
always
baking.
pushes. You
A
gotta
minute 40
have
left.
a vision of where you're going.
A vision.
So I have my vision. An Easter egg is always should be, except in the Roche house, on the ground. Can
On
get
the
taped to the
ground?
underside
Where's
of
the hole in this
tables.
You know what show's giving me a lot of inspiration? The
What
show
show?
Nailed It on Netflix.
Ooh,
That's my inspiration
Another
right
good
now.
one.
I can't
What is nailed it?
It's where like regular people have to do insane baking creations.
Who's regular people?
Like people that you wouldn't
non-professional
expect to
bakers. So
be
we
good at
could be
baking.
on it.
We could be on.
We
it.
could be the next people that Jude and Luke and Deanna
Would
are
they
laughing
want
at.
this embarrassment on their show?
That's what makes the show
That's
bad.
what makes it, and you have to say nailed it once you finish.
But no
We
matter
have
how-
58 seconds left.
No matter how bad you are, though, one of those 3 people wins
He is so
$10,000.
yes, and Jacques. Oh, Jacques, he's so nice. He's a French pastry chef, like professional pastry chef.
You want to swing the purple over, John?
No, Jude.
Oh crap! Yours actually look good. I don't
They
know.
don't look good. Mine looks like
You,
the Easter bunny.
took it
threw up-
again.
The Easter bunny threw up on one of his eggs, and this is mine.
Were you trying to do a spider web?
I don't know why I was going for, to be honest with you. We have
What's our
30
time?
seconds left. I'm adding jelly beans because I saw them on the table and they caught my eye, and I'm hoping that'll help people vote for me. I doubt it, but there's every possibility. We have 15 seconds.
John's look so good.
John's does not. Oh my God!
Ours looks so
Oh,
bad
God.
compared to this.
Do we even have to show ours if that's how bad it is? All right, we're gonna pause it. We got 3 seconds left. We're gonna pause. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. Each of us is gonna show you our cookie, and we're gonna zoom in on the We're gonna zoom the camera in on it so you can see it. We're gonna let everybody explain briefly what they were going for, and we'll try and go from there. So we're gonna start with Jude. Jude, if you'd hold your cookie up for the camera, and if you want to try to explain to the audience what you're going for, so zoom in, let
All
them
right.
see those beautiful colors.
So there was the
Ooh.
design.
Okay, what were you going for?
Now, it started as a zigzag pattern, but then I realized I couldn't do zigzags all the way up top. I don't know why. The green one was a little bigger than the rest.
Interesting.
So then I tried to fill it with as much color as I could, and then turned it into something for the Easter. And so I put a little crucifix on it and circled it.
There you go.
Okay, so that's Jude's cookie. We're gonna call that cookie number 1. So when we do our voting at the end, you get to try. All right, this is my cookie. What started as an artistic creation, you can see with the blue, suddenly turned into a baboon with no arms and is blind, attempting to frost a cookie. You'll see that I had a nice color wheel going, and then I saw Jolly Ranchers. I saw jelly beans, and that caught my attention. That didn't help my cookie at all. So ultimately, that's what you're left with. It does have nice texture to it. The green sort of binds it all together. If you see that green cross, see how it binds it all together? That was the focal point of the art. And I'm going to stop now because I've embarrassed myself enough. And we're going to turn it over to Mr. John Roche, who went for simplicity.
I went for simplicity here.
Oh,
I went for
Look how good
highlighting
that
the
looks.
colors of Easter. So springtime colors, green, purple, pink, and blue. And I tried to go for symmetry on the top with the dots and the lines alternating because, you got to be classy. And, I didn't want too much frosting. But if you wanted to, and again, this is what you could do. You could just take a nice butter knife and just do a schmear to get like a nice
Tie-dye.
So
like tie-dye effect.
just to give you an idea, there is a line in the gospel that says John was Jesus' favorite disciple. Honestly,
The disciple whom he
that
loved.
is what this feels like right now. This feels like John just took every genetic baking gene we had and
The very
apparently
few that
has all of
exist.
it.
Put it
The very
together.
few that exist, because John, I don't think we're even gonna get vote, Jude. I think
I don't
John
want to
is
vote
number 3
anymore.
if you want
So
to
at this
vote.
time, you have to put number 1
1, 2, or
for
3.
Jude, 2
Yo, they already
for
commented
Matt,
John
or
wins.
3
If you-
for
If you
John.
want to put it 2 because you feel bad, I'd appreciate it.
Sympathy votes are okay.
Sympathy votes are okay. I mean,
John wins.
at
John
this
wins.
point in my life, I feel awful about myself.
John, another one. Mr. John Roche.
Oh, God.
3. I hate this.
I feel terrible about myself. All right, well, clearly I suck at frosting. Jude sucks at frosting. That's why we leave it to Sharon Roche. And we're going to end our video like we do every video we've done, which is 2. We're going to end the video the same way. We're going to thank our mom for the time she's given. We're going to appreciate the fact that she is a heck of a lot better at this than we are. And, of course, what better way to say goodbye than to welcome our dogs again. Now, they've been very good hiding in the back, so let's say hi to the dogs. Hello, guys. Come on out.
Oliver.
Yo,
Yo,
Belle.
Belle. And Belle is too tired. She
Oh,
doesn't
Belle.
care.
Here
Oh,
she
there we go.
comes. Here she comes. Come on, Belle.
And there's
Good
Belle.
girl.
Yo,
What a
Matt.
good girl.
Marie voted for John.
Of course we're voting for John. This is great. My wife can't even vote for me. So here they are, all the dogs. It was a pleasure being able to bake with you. I'm sorry that I suck at baking and frosting. I'm going to attempt to take a bite of my cookie. This isn't going to go well. Oh.
At least the cookie tastes good.
A jelly bean was
Ew,
disgusting.
ew.
We're out. I'm embarrassed.
Yo, wait, I gotta